So what happens when something goes down? You have something that goes down, and what do you do in that moment? Something pushes your buttons. When you say, oh, he makes me so mad, oh, she drives me crazy, that is false. He doesn't make you mad. She doesn't drive you crazy. You are going into a reaction. You're choosing that. If I take this paper and I throw it and say, you made me do that, that's false. I made me do that. So we want to be aware of the stories we tell ourselves. It reminds me of the farmer that had all these horses. And one day he hears this ruckus, and he goes outside, and his neighbor's there. They walk over, and they see part of the fence is broken down, and some of the farmer's best horses have run away. And the neighbor's over there going, oh, that's bad. And the wise farmer says, well, how do you know? Later that afternoon, they hear another ruckus. They go back, and all those horses had come back, and they brought all these wild mares with them. Now the farmer's twice as wealthy, and of course the neighbor's there, and he goes, oh, that's good. And the farmer says, well, how do you know? The next day, the farmer's son is trying to tame one of these wild mares, and the horse bucks him off, and he breaks his leg. And of course the neighbor's there. I don't know why this neighbor's always around. They're your soulmates. Okay? They're the ones that push you to show you what's inside of you. Okay? So he says, oh, no, that's bad, that's bad. And the farmer says, well, how do you know? Later that week, the army's coming through and taking all the sons off to this war. His son can't go because he's got a broken leg. And the neighbor says, oh, that's good. And the farmer says, well, how do you know? And it just goes on and on. So when something happens in your life, your spouse says something happens at work, you get in traffic, and your first response is to get upset, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath in through your nose and do the loosey-goosey, okay? And remind yourself that I can choose how I want to feel in this moment. I can choose it. If you're in traffic, my car suddenly becomes my spa. I'm going to put on a cool audiobook. I'm going to listen to some music. I'm going to put an air freshener in there from Yankee Candle. I'm going to have my bottle of water, and I'm just going to relax. Turn your car into a spa or a university and train your mind. So you get traffic, and you're like, awesome, I wanted to hear this part. You change your perception of it. So you ask yourself, if somebody says, oh, no, aren't you upset? You go, well, how do you know? How do you know it happens? If there's an eagle, and the eagle flies down over the water and grabs a fish out of the water and takes off, is that a positive thing or a negative thing? Yeah, it depends on you're the eagle or the fish, right? The answer is it's neither. Human beings are the only species on this planet that shows up and makes a judgment. And our judgments often imprison us. I want to tell you, read a story. I got this out of one of Wayne Dyer's books. It's called The Cookie Thief. So I want to read this to you because I really like it. A woman was waiting at the airport one night. With several long hours before her flight, she hunted for a book in the airport shop, bought a bag of cookies, and found a place to drop. She was engrossed in her book, but happened to see that the man beside her was as bold as he could be. He grabbed a cookie or two from the bag between, which she tried to ignore to avoid a scene. She read, munched cookies, she read, munched cookies, and watched the clock as the gustly cookie thief diminished her stock. She was getting more irritated as the minutes ticked by, thinking, if I wasn't so nice, I'd blacken his eye. With each cookie she took, he took one too. When only one was left, she wondered what he'd do. With a smile on his face and a nervous laugh, he took the last cookie and broke it in half. He offered her half, and he ate the other. She snatched it from him and thought, oh, brother, this guy has some nerve, and he's also so rude. Why, he didn't even show any gratitude. She had never known when she had been so galled, and sighed with relief when her flight was called. She gathered her belongings and headed for the gate, refusing to look at the thieving ingrate. She boarded the plane and sank in her seat, then sought her book, which was almost complete. As she reached in her baggage, she gasped with surprise. There were her bag of cookies in front of her eyes. If mine are here, she groaned with despair. Then the others were his, and he tried to share. Too late to apologize, she realized with grief that she was the rude one, the ingrate, the thief. Yes. When I read that, I went, man, that is so typical, isn't it? As soon as I realized that those were his cookies and she was the one doing that and then being rude to him, and he took the last one and shared it, I thought, wow, which one of those people do I want to be? Which one of those people do you want to be? And maybe sometimes you are. But what if sometimes became all the time?